So then, given that just a few weeks ago we discovered that the Retro Squad would in fact be leaving the Alton Towers Resort, which a lot of people were very happy to hear, and although I don't like to criticise rides, thank God they're gone, and this caused a lot of people to start speculating if the removal of these rides would result in permanent flat rides being installed at the park, and if so, what would they be and where would they be placed? And given that Bianca Samet, the divisional director of Alton Towers, did confirm that they were looking to install permanent flat rides at the park, I have reacted in my usual way of, out of the excitement of thinking of what flat rides we could have at the park, I've listed multiple different rides down, which I thought I'd go through in this video. So then, just before we get into this video, I do want to specify that all the rides that I'm about to mention in this video are purely in this video because I would love to see them at the park, and this isn't a thing of I have any evidence to back up these coming to the park. This is literally rides that I've put in this video because I would love to see them at the park. And as I'm sure a lot of you will know who have watched these videos in the past, a lot of predictions and things that I say I'd love to see at the park are so far from the truth, it's often laughable. So please do bear that in mind. So then, first up, a ride model which I'd love to see at the park, and I have seen a lot of people actually speculating, which is quite nice, is a Huss breakdance. So then, this does come off of something which I'm not going to allude to because I don't want to go into too much specific details because I tend to go into things a bit too far than I actually know and get predictions wildly off. But a lot of people have said that Huss has confirmed to have spoken to Alton Towers at IAPA, and this is obviously being backed up by a lot of people saying that there is the possibility of the Edge Arcade building is being essentially rebuilt, and I've seen in multiple videos, which I definitely recommend watching, there are multiple who talk about this in more detail and I'd definitely recommend checking them out, have said that in the planning proposal documents they mention an operator's cabin, and a lot of people have been saying this building that they're obviously converting from the Edge Arcade building, although it could be an arcade again, would be a perfect place for a Huss breakdance, which I have never actually been on a Huss breakdance. I've been on ride models that are nearly similar, but nothing of a proper Huss breakdance, and this is a ride model which not only would I love to see in Alton Towers, it's one that if it were to be enclosed, I think that would be the best way to have this ride model, because obviously with it being quite a fast-paced ride, which is obviously spinning quite a lot, which disorientates you, it would work brilliantly in an indoor building. However, because I'm not going into details of exactly where it would go, because I don't want to misinform and get things wildly off, if this ride model were to come to the park, I think it would be fantastic. Now, I do need to mention that I've seen a lot of people have been saying the ride model that they think is most realistic is the Huss Breakdance 5, I think, in particular, which, if you don't know, imagine you've got the Huss Breakdance is the general ride model, and then they have different variations of that with certain details changed for different models. I'm not going to go into those specifics because I don't know enough and I don't want to get things wildly off in this video. Nonetheless, that ride would look amazing at Alton Towers, and if what has been obviously speculated and rumoured around the community is true, I think that would be an amazing ride to have at Alton Towers, especially in Forbidden Valley, which could be a very different area within the next season at Alton Towers, so can't wait to see what happens on that front. But nonetheless, this ride model would work at the park so well and could fit in so many different areas. After that, a ride which I think would work really well at the park is kind of a way of me showing that I'm jealous that I didn't ever get to go on Ripsaw, and that is for them to get a new Huss Topspin. Now, this is mainly probably because I'm jealous I never went on Ripsaw, which I'm sure a lot of people will remember Ripsaw as a very iconic ride for Alton Towers, and obviously did sit where Funkenfly was located while they were at the park. That occupied the old site of Ripsaw, which now that they're gone, that area's opened up again, and I feel like this is a ride which just is built perfectly for Alton Towers because it's a very intense and intimidating looking ride. Just looking at them's incredible. It's why I think I'm so jealous I didn't go on a proper one, because I also missed out on Ramesses Revenge, which is clearly me showing that I'm jealous, which is why I put it in this video. And a ride variation of this, obviously because top spins, much like the breakdance, you've got new variations of the top spins, is to go for a newer one where you have people facing both ways, so obviously facing back to back instead of tiered seating like Ripsaw was, because that would be absolutely brilliant. It means that you're on a front row seat for each of it, and I feel like this would be a great ride for the park. Now, I'm not sure in terms of footprint whether it would still fit and whether a different area of the park would make more sense, but I feel like this would be something that Alton Towers, if they were to put the effort to actually make this unique for the park and obviously make it a little bit different, so theme it around the park storyline, so have it in Forbidden Valley and theme it around something, I don't know, like the Phalanx machinery or the monster itself or something along those lines, it could be so unique and would really work in that area. Or you could even have it in X Sector and theme it to something to do with the Smiler and a piece of weird technology that, like, you've got obviously the middle part of the Smiler, you've got like the Giggler and everything to try and like freak you out in terms of different machinery that they're using to sort of hypnotise people. It would be similar with this in X Sector, which would be absolutely awesome to see, and this is one which I'd love to see at the park. An existing version of this ride which is kind of fitting the example I would like to mention is obviously Talocan at Phantasialand, which obviously has riders facing back to back with the fire effects and the backdrop, which looks amazing, so that would be something I'd love to see at the park. Now onto a ride which isn't manufactured by Huss, and we're moving on to the Zamperla flat rides, and the first one which I think would work brilliantly at the park is a Zamperla Nebula. Now this is one which, more particularly, I would love to see in X Sector on the old site of either where Enterprise used to sit or where Submission used to sit, which obviously for the last season was where Spin Jam was sat, because those two parts of X Sector are very open as of current, don't have much there, and I think firstly you need something more in X Sector to attract guests in, because at the minute you've only got 2 rides, but would also work in that area of the park perfectly. Now I would prefer, I think the area that was where Enterprise was would work for the Smiler, because this really looks like something that you could sort of theme to the Ministry of Joy and have it a little bit sinister but really upbeat colours and really vibrant, but also have a bit of a sinister undertone. That is something which the park does so well, and for this ride model would be awesome, because not only would it be a really cool ride to look at, because looking at these rides is mesmerising, but it would also not be too intense, so it would draw in younger guests to go on the Nebula instead of just having to either go on the Smiler or Oblivion, which there is no hiding are very intimidating looking rides. This would be a ride which would draw people in, which isn't necessarily as intense as the other 2 in that area. After that, we're sticking with Zamperla as a manufacturer, and another flat ride by Zamperla which I'd love to see at the park is a Zamperla Air Race. A Zamperla Air Race, I'm sure a lot of you will have seen them, they're dotted around a lot of theme parks. We have got one at Drayton Manor, and this is a ride which looks really cool to look at, because obviously you've got the gondolas flipping round, but it's not too low in capacity, and it's a very, very fun ride. I didn't realise until I actually went to Drayton Manor, it was the first time I went on one, and they're really good fun to go on. They would work perfectly at Alton Towers, because it would be a flat ride that goes upside down, which I think every park needs that flat ride that throws you in all which ways, because everyone loves to go on those, or at least I know I do personally. But that would work brilliantly. I think it would need to have something added to it. I don't think just the Air Race theme in terms of flight would work, unless you were to put it by Galactica, but I don't really think there's space there. I think, again, the obvious places are either where Roller Disco was by Rita, on that plot of land sort of by the entrance to 13, or the turnaround parts for Rita. I think that would work perfectly there. Again, areas in X Sector would work for that, but I'm not really sure if they could theme it up. They probably could. Alton Towers is very good at theming flat rides into their park. Or, yet again, in Forbidden Valley, or whatever it will be next year after this amazing Phalanx re-theme of the area. Yeah, I think this ride would work perfectly, but just because it really is a good fun ride to go on, it's a good ride to look at, and that obviously also means that guests will be drawn towards it, meaning you've got a larger ride lineup, and I think it would just work perfectly. So then, the 5th and final flat ride which I'd love to see at the park is one which I actually discovered while looking for the Huss Breakdance ride models on their website, and this ride model is a Hus Booster, or more particularly a Hus Booster Revolution, which is a very long name, but essentially I've heard of these rides and seen them, but never actually looked into detail of them, and my god, these rides look insane. So imagine a Huss breakdance, but your gondola moves on a 360 axis and moves in slightly different ways. Instead of swinging you round, it can carry you upside down. And I've seen multiple videos without even realising it through years and years and years of sort of looking at different funfair rides. This ride looks insane, but more particularly the Hus Booster Revolution. Like I said, obviously you have the main ride and then variations of it. You have the Hus Booster, and this particular Hus Booster Revolution features lap bars, which look so free to sort of sit in. You feel so sort of exposed to the elements. It would be absolutely incredible, and I think that this ride, especially in Forbidden Valley, possibly even in, I saw people rumouring the Edge Arcade to have a Huss breakdance in that new building. This would work insane as well, because it would look so intense. It would really fit into that really intense flat ride, and it's one which I would so love to just see in the UK. So then, these are just rides that I would like to see at the park. I'm going to stress again, these aren't rides that are rumoured to be at the park. These are just rides that I'd like to see, apart from the Huss breakdance, which I've seen multiple really good YouTube videos talking about the possibility of seeing at the park. These are just ones that I would love to see, and this is where I wanted to go on to the other point. I'd love to know flat rides that you would love to see at Alton Towers, because I think we can all agree that Alton Towers needs more flat rides. We have heard the park specifically tell us they are investing in some. I would love to know what you would like to see at the park, where you think they would fit the best in the park. Yeah, thank you for watching, and please don't judge my really odd, obscure predictions. I can't wait to see what they actually get and laugh at what I've predicted they're getting, because that's happened an awful lot of times. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. And also, given this I think goes live on Christmas Eve, Merry Christmas!